Welcome back to Las Vegas. It's Alex Belfield talking to the stars of the Strip, and we're back at one of the most famous casinos in the world. The MGM Grand is home to David Copperfield, the best restaurant in the world, Joe Robuchon, and in my opinion, the greatest production ever, Car by Cirque Du Soleil, is here and performs 5 nights a week, 2 shows a night, and it's 2 stars, Jason, who we'll talk to in a second, and Emma. Am I stalking you or are you stalking me? Because we seem to meet up every year at this point.
I think you might be stalking me.
And who can blame me? And we're going to talk about your private life in a moment, because congratulations are in order. We'll do that next. And Jason as well. How are you?
Hello, doing fine. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you. Firstly, I can't lie. This is my favorite show in Las Vegas. I've said it year after year after year. I have never seen anything on this scale anywhere else in the world. I've done Broadway for 15 years. I've reviewed in the West End. There is nothing like it anywhere else, is there?
You say that to all the girls, don't you?
Let's talk about this show then. For those who don't know anything about it and the size of this show, you have a stage which is on a precipice and it goes up, down, sideways, across, vertical, horizontal, and all within seconds. It's completely unique. I've never seen anything like it anywhere else.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. They call it the gantry crane. It is one in a kind, and it's pretty crazy to work on. Imagine standing there and all of a sudden you're vertical. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
I can't imagine, and it still makes me nervous, this show, and I still fear for your life because, I mean, it looks so dangerous, of course, which is the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's very dangerous all the time. A lot of us have sleeping problems, especially myself. I went through probably 2 or 3 weeks of a special diet change and everything when I first arrived, and now that I'm here, it's pretty much just normal and par for the course, really. Hey, Emma?
Emma, congratulations. I've spoke to you, I can't remember, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I said you were delicious then, and you're delicious now, which is a miracle because you've just had a baby.
Yeah, thank you.
How is that possible? I mean, you're slim, you're not 700 pounds. You know, this could be your excuse to get fat and never work again.
Well, I think I was quite fat when I first came back, but I've been working out quite hard, so I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there.
It must be really tough, A, to have a private life where you're looking after a baby, which is relentless anyway, and then do 10 shows a week. This show never stops. It is probably one of the most energetic of any on the Strip. When do you have time to sleep?
I don't really. I think I slept maybe 4 hours last night, especially because my baby, he's waking up every 3 or 4 hours hungry. So yeah, sleeping is not an option right now.
And not coming back was not an option either, because I mean, this is what you do and this is what you love.
Exactly, yeah. And this is what I needed to get back in shape as well, you know. It was a big motivation. So it's been hard, but I feel good now. Like, I'm getting there now and I can see results now, so.
I interview a lot of people in Las Vegas year after year, and you can tell they're bored, you can tell they've had enough. But with this show, it does feel like the energy is still there every single performance, because it doesn't allow you to get bored, this show.
Right, and because we all, like in some of the shows, you do the same thing every night, but in this show, we get to do like different acts every night, you know? I've been here over 5 years now, and last year I got to do Twin Sister backup, so I got to learn like a whole other role as well, which kept me entertained. So
I'm sat here wondering what accent your child's going to have, because this is something we've talked about before. I mean, it's sort of this mid-Atlantic, sort of half English, half American. It's going to be curious, isn't it?
I know. I really want him to have a British accent. I think he might in the beginning, but I think as soon as he goes to school, he's going to lose it.
Yeah, that's going to be gone.
I'm work hard on it, though.
And congratulations to your other half as well. I first interviewed him in Love, another amazing Cirque show celebrating the Beatles, and he's now down the road at Wynn.
Yes, now he's working as a dive technician, scuba dive technician, which is good because he works in the daytime and then I work at nighttime, so
you never see each other.
Exactly, so it's really good.
This is how you make a marriage work, I keep telling people. Let's talk about your role in the show. What do you do for those who haven't seen it?
My character is called Zany Valet. There's myself, Zany, and then there's my partner, Acro Valet, which is a smaller, faster, a little bit, for lack of a better word, dumber, crazy guy. And our roles are to go throughout the show taking care of the soon-to-be Emperor and Empress, the twin sister and twin brother. So we're in pretty much in every scene except for a few, battle being one, and we go through it in a comedic sort of way.
Very hard to do justice to this show, and I say every time to Emma and to the other guys, to tell people how big this production is impossible, because anything you've seen on Broadway or in the West End is not on this scale. Let's talk about the number of people in it and how you all come together. I mean, there are hundreds, aren't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's 80 plus artists, and twice as many technicians, and it really requires twice as many technicians. The show is so big, the stage is so big, everything is the biggest and the best kind of thing. But the one thing about it, which is something that always gets left behind, is that it's a very subtle show as well. The actors and the acrobats on the stage really dwarf the stage. They really make it look small, and you can really zone in onto the finer points, and that's what's different between another just giant show and one that's like this. This still has a small theater feel if it's played right. And that's what happens during our show at the same time, is that yes, you asked like how do we keep it engaged and how are we always going, it doesn't really drop, is because our show is a story from start to finish. So if you aren't engaged in that story, whereas in other shows you do an act and you leave and come back, you really need to be, even off stage, kind of engaged in what's going on. So it lends itself to being always at like a high level performance.
I was saying last night at Zakana, which I saw for the first time, they're very distinctive, the producers of Cirque du Soleil, and they have a certain style. The lighting is always remarkable. The music is so moving. And what you were talking about there, Jason, is so interesting, how it goes from 1 minute being a massive, great big illusion, and next they'll do something just with paint or with the sand, as in Zakana, or here, just the little hand movement stuff where they make the puppets on the big screen and all of that. They go from large to big, and it's that contrast that makes it so compelling, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't actually seen Zarkana yet. I really want to see it.
You must go. I can get you a ticket.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
You haven't got time though, have you really?
Not really. But and also with Car, the nice thing is the story. Like you can actually like follow the story and follow the characters, which is nice for the audience too.
It is remarkable how many people are in this show, and I guess there are costume changes and people do different parts, but there's always the unique clowns within this. I mean, Cirque du Soleil do keep to their roots and make sure that there is a dialogue throughout, some of which we can't understand. And for many people who go in, I'm sure they don't actually understand the story. It doesn't matter because it's international, it's in all languages, and as long as you're enjoying it, that's the point, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. One of the things about any performance is when you watch a performance, you see people on stage who are actually enjoying themselves, it's more interesting to watch. Just like anything in normal life, you see people having fun, it's fun to watch, right? So that's what goes on in our show, and the role that I have, and for lack of a better word, we're not really clowns. It's kind of there is things that happen to us, like any tragedy. Anything that happens at home or with your family, say you get in a major fight, if you always look back at those points, there's always a funny undertone to all of it. You can always sit back later and laugh, or laugh during it. And that's kind of the role that we're involved in. We can't play a joke or do jokes for people because the audience picks it up like that. But standing in front of an 8-foot tall turtle who's dancing in front of you, how do you play that subtly?
You ask yourself so many questions throughout. Questions like, who has to clean all that sand up?
The technicians.
This is what's great about Cirque. There are no limits, are there? When they sit down and come up with these shows, it seems to me they have a blank piece of paper and virtually an unlimited budget to create something like that. Who else would be bothered to have to go through that twice a night?
Well, imagine it. There's like 2 levels of this show. You have the show above the ground, what you see, us, the makeup and lights and stuff, the ones that get applauded for. And then you have twice as many people underneath doing more exciting things for me than the things happening on stage sometimes. I wish they would sell a ticket beneath and see what's going on, because it really is a ballet. It's absolutely crazy. And these guys are like not only amazing on the spot, but they're some of the best welders and carpenters and riggers in the world. I mean, to sit down at a conversation, every time I do, I just feel like an idiot.
Right, and you sit there in the audience just wondering what's going on backstage because it is so enormous again. And then I ask myself questions like, is there some massive airbag? Is there somebody catching you? Because you're falling from what seems like 35,000 feet. And you get up and do it again 3 hours later. I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, we use nets and airbags, of course. But yeah, the technicians, they're brilliant, Without them, we couldn't do the show. Like, it's amazing what they do.
And of course then we have the Cirque magic of the music and the lighting, which segues so beautifully between scene to scene to scene, often from enormous to very small, and that's so clever. Do you enjoy it as much as we do on stage visually? Because it's so moving. The way that they contrast the lights from scene to scene is so clever. How do you view it? Are you in the moment? Are you watching the show in your own mind's eye? Tell me how it feels when you're on that enormous stage.
Well, there's 2 things. First of all, to comment on the music. The music happens below the show for the most part. There's a studio for both the percussionist and the bass player, and then with all the other instruments, the band leader and the cello and everything. And it happens tons in a room, not much bigger than the one we're sitting in here right now. And when you're up above and your audience listening to it, it sounds like there is an entire orchestra sitting underneath there. So that is the magic. And one of the things that's happening right now is one of the girls and singers in our show is currently out, and you don't notice it until they're gone. And when they're gone, you can really tell that there's this empty, have a backups track for it and sing through it, but they really can notice that. And that is one of the finer points of the show, is that it really does come down just the human people. It always gets overshined by this giant stage and all the lighting and everything, but when you look at it deeply, it's the people that are underneath the stage, on the stage, performing on the stage, are the musicians. And that's one of the things, the best thing about it. I completely lost what you said to me, what your question was, because that's kind of what I do normally. It's the ADD, light kind of thing, but you know.
You did absolutely fine, and I've not mentioned your hat once.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say that. You have the perfect face for radio.
Indeed I do. We normally talk in the summer. I'm going to move on swiftly and talk back to you because you're more attractive. We normally talk in the summer when it's 700 degrees, and I mention your hat because, I mean, today it's like -2 here. It's really cold. This is England cold, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. And people don't think it gets this cold in Vegas, but it's cold.
I always am amazed for performers how it must affect the way you feel, because, I mean, you're going to ache more if it's colder, and if you're a vocalist in the summer, it's going to be really hard to sing if it's 120 degrees. Does it bother you, or have you found a way of getting through it?
It doesn't bother me too much. It actually affects like the stage. If it's raining, the stage is sticky. The humidity affects the bungees. So for sure, it affects the show a lot. But me, I mean, it affects me walking from the car park into work because I'm freezing. But other than that, no, not really.
And I always talk about the food and this town of joy and excess and all of that stuff, the flamboyance of it. Do you get involved in the strip, or are you one of these performers that just leaves the show, goes home and lives a normal life?
I was one of these performers. I would say if you talk to, I did a poll between the performers on the strip, 95% of them just leave the strip. The only time we come down to the strip is when we're performing or if our friends come into town. And then we get those giant drinks shaped as the Eiffel Tower and walk around kind of half blind, just to fit in. And that's the way it is, There's a lot of, Vegas is pretty cool. It's known for the strip, but there's a lot of cool stuff off the strip. There's the ocean 4 hours away, you got mountains everywhere. So that's the kind of lifestyle most of us live, I think.
I think what this show does as well, I know this sounds a bit cheesy, but I went out Wednesday to the Grand Canyon and took a helicopter ride and all of that. And this really is what you should do when you come here, because you realise there's enormous beauty within seconds of the strip itself. And this show kind of does that as well. It makes you realise a sort of perspective. I don't know whether you know what I'm talking about, but it makes you realise actually nothing matters. You see that big stage and you realise your life is so unimportant. So many people have put such work into that, and you go to the canyon and you realise we're nothing. And that's, again, the magic of this show, isn't it? It is anthemic. It's epic.
Yeah, and actually what's cool is they let us watch the show every so often. All of the artists, one by one, we'll have a day where we're out of the show and we can watch, which is really cool because sometimes, you forget. Every night we're in it and we see it on the TV screen backstage, but it's not like sitting in the audience and seeing it for real. And it's really nice to see that and remember what you're a part of and how cool it is.
And then, of course, every scene more or less crescendos towards this big ending, which I'm not going to give away, but it is nothing short of spectacular. Have you ever been set on fire by one of those fireworks?
No, but I've dodged a few. I'm a little faster than the rest of them. My clown character doesn't really look like that, but I am really probably the fastest one in the show, so yeah.
It's good for avoiding the targets,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Well, you just dodge and duck and dodge and duck, kind of like dodgeball.
And the question I've got to ask, from a geeky point of view, every time I come, the one scene I don't like, it makes me too nervous, is those two guys who go around that thing. I'm not going to give it away. Do they ever fall off? Because it looks like they're very close to falling off.
No, they can't. They can't ever fall off. It's not an option, and They will never fall off.
Because it looks like they come close, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they're so good that they make you think they're about to fall off, but they're not. They're totally in control. They've been doing it forever, and
I don't like it. Can you get that taken out of the show? It's the only bit I don't like because it makes me nervous.
Sure, yeah, we've been trying to do that, but they have a contract, and that's why they're still here. Both of them have been brothers. They've been brothers their entire lives.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they took a month off in the mid '80s, but now they're back to being brothers, and what they do is it's no short, like you said, of amazing. Their combined ages together is actually over 165 years old, which no one knows that.
That's incredible.
I know. They look so young too.
They really should be in the Guinness Book of Records, shouldn't they?
We're looking at that as well. But
to be 84 and a half and still going around on that big thing
there's
is
another group out of Lithuania that are the average age is 87, but we're not sure if one of them is actually a brother.
Isn't that the thing about show business? There's always someone chasing your tail, isn't there? No matter how old you are, there's somebody coming in older.
Yeah, non-stop. Imagine chasing your tail, running around in a wheel.
Right. Imagine being David Copperfield and seeing Chris Angel down the end of the strip. I mean, it's enough to send you insane.
I don't know why he doesn't make him disappear.
Hey, listen, I've loved talking to you both. I like you very much. And I like you as well. Good luck with the baby. Say hi to your other half. And thank you so much for talking to me again. What are we now? 4:45. What happens next?
I have trainings, workout.
Oh, how dull.
I know. Upper body workout.
Come to the buffet with me.
I wish I could. And then I'll do my makeup and then I'll be ready for the show.
You're here at the MGM Grand, which has to be one of the most famous in the world. I mean, if you asked 100 people, name a hotel, I'm sure they'd say this one. To be here in this show, on this scale of production, must be amazing. Do you still pinch yourself and think, I'm the luckiest guy in the world?
It's funny that you said that. The MGM itself, it's kind of like this attitude when you're walking into work. MGM is this older place, an older hotel, and you walk in and you come into a badass show in a badass hotel. Yeah, it's every day. I mean, and at the end of the day, they applaud for when you go home. Like, when is the last time that happens, you know?
I haven't had the clap in years.
Me neither.
Exactly. Not since the 80s. Send our love to our 165-year-old brothers.
Will do.
And congratulations on the MGM Grand as well. I must give them a mention. I just checked into my room upstairs, and they've renovated many of them, and the rooms are divine. I mean, you've got everything. A beautiful room, great restaurants. Joel Robuchon just outside here. I don't know whether you've ever eaten in there. I have never had a better meal in my life ever, seriously.
Yeah, awesome. It's a pretty awesome place to come into work. It's fantastic.